What if the biggest revelation in pop music history isn't a bombshell scandal but a single, whispered greeting? At 78, Barry Gibb, iconic frontman of the Bee Gees, has finally opened up about a private moment he's carried for more than half a century. The night John Lennon paused mid-conversation, turned and simply said, "Pleased to meet you." No fanfare. No flashes. Just two artists sharing a fleeting instant of humanity. Now, after decades of triumph, tragedy and reflection, Barry is ready to tell the world why that casual hello left a mark deeper than any chart-topping hit. It was 1967, and the Speak Easy Club in London thrummed with an electric mix of cigarette smoke, clinking glasses, and backstage adrenaline. The Who's guitars had fallen silent just moments earlier, and the air still buzzed with the echoes of Pete Townshend's last chord. Barry Gibb, in his early 20s, had been swept into that haze by a mixture of excitement and nerves. He and his brothers had just tasted international success with early Bee Gees singles, but Britain's music elite felt like a distant constellation he was only beginning to chart. Pete spotted Barry lingering in the shadows and offered a friendly nudge toward a small circle of rock royalty. Barry's heart pounded as he stepped forward, weaving through hazy spotlights to the figure at the center. John Lennon, deep in animated discussion, eyes bright and laughter bubbling at the corners of his mouth. For Barry, that moment felt monumental. Lennon stood alone against a velvet drape, gesturing with a cigarette in his hand as if every word were a spark. Barry approached, voice lodged in his throat, until Pete's introduction broke the spell. "John, this is Barry Gibb." The conversation paused. Lennon turned, curiosity in his gaze, and for an instant the roar of fame fell away. Then, with a steady, almost understated kindness, John Lennon offered two words that have echoed through Barry's life ever since: "Pleased to meet you." That was it. No celebrity pose, no offhand quip, just a genuine acknowledgement from one musician to another. In the golden haze of London's swinging scene, it was a moment of grace, pure and uncluttered, that landed more profoundly than any spotlight ever could. In the years that followed, Barry carried those words with him like a secret talisman. He would recall them while touring stadiums where thousands chanted Bee Gees hits in unison, as if to remind himself that adoration was powerful, but human recognition was transformative. At first, his career focused on the melodies he wrote with Robin and Maurice, the haunting vocals of New York mining disaster 1941, the soulful yearning of to love somebody. Yet, even as their sound matured and global acclaim found them, Barry often felt a flicker of self-doubt. Who was he to stand alongside giants like Lennon and McCartney? In those quiet moments backstage, a mental rehearsal of John's warm greeting would steady his nerves. It reminded him that musicians, no matter how legendary, need each other's kindness as much as they crave applause. By the mid-1970s, Barry had guided the Bee Gees into a bold new territory. Their pivot to falsetto-driven disco anthems produced cultural touchstones: "Stayin' Alive," "Night Fever," "More Than a Woman," that soundtracked an era. With the Saturday Night Fever soundtrack, Barry's voice became emblematic of a generation's dancefloor rebellion. Yet the dizzying heights of success brought their own storms: creative tensions with Robin over leadership roles, Maurice's quiet determination to hold the group together, and the relentless grind of recording sessions that sometimes felt like pressure cookers. Fame's glare can isolate even the closest siblings, and Barry learned that the artist's lot is not only to perform for crowds but to weather the storms of ambition and ego. In those moments of friction, he often conjured Lennon's simple welcome, a reminder that true greatness lies not in outshining others, but in lifting them up. Then came heartbreak. In 1988, Barry's youngest brother Andy, whose own solo stardom had shimmered briefly like a comet, died at 30, his life cut short by struggles with substance abuse. 3 years later, Maurice collapsed and passed away, fracturing the trio that had been Barry's constant. In 2012, Robin succumbed to cancer, leaving Barry as the sole surviving Gibb brother. Familiar faces vanished, leaving stages that once felt like home eerily quiet. Grief found Barry in empty theaters and silent studios. And yet, in that stillness, he returned to the memory of a night when John Lennon's kindness had reaffirmed his place in music. That two-word greeting became a lodestar, guiding Barry through loss and reminding him that even in solitude, shared humanity endures. For decades, Barry kept that story private. To speak it aloud felt perilous, an invitation for skeptics to accuse him of name-dropping or seeking limelight. He preferred that his songs speak first, his melodies carrying his truth without embellishment. But time has a way of clarifying priorities. Now, as the last custodian of the Bee Gees' legacy, Barry values moments of authenticity above all. He recognizes that fame's highest calling is not to be larger than life, but to be more deeply human. And so, at 78, he feels ready to reveal his secret, honoring Lennon not as an untouchable icon but as a fellow artist whose simple act of acknowledgement shaped another career in ways that no award ever could. In sharing this confession, Barry offers a lesson far beyond rock and roll lore, that small gestures can echo across decades. Underneath the layers of superstardom, musicians are people first, vulnerable, hopeful, and yearning for connection. A single "pleased to meet you" can carry more weight than the loudest amplifier, because it speaks directly to the heart. Barry hopes this tale will inspire not only performers but anyone who's ever sought to be seen. Treat others with genuine warmth, for you never know how deeply your kindness might resonate. Today, Barry remains active, producing documentaries to preserve the Bee Gees' story, mentoring young talent, and stepping onto stages that still swell with cheering fans. Yet whenever he feels the familiar tremor of stage fright, he revisits that London evening in his mind. Lennon's steady gaze, the quiet sincerity of his words, the way fame's glimmer fell away in favor of pure human exchange. It's a reminder that every artist at every level shares a common need: to be acknowledged and respected by peers. That night taught Barry that true applause isn't measured in decibels but in the depth of connection. As Barry Gibb turns this memory into a public confession, he isn't seeking fresh applause or stirring controversy. He simply wants to honor a moment that, though private and fleeting, taught him more about humility and grace than any stage could. In an age of sensational headlines and personal branding, his story stands as a quiet counterpoint. Fame's real power lies not in spectacle, but in the simple truth that we matter to one another. And sometimes the most profound connection comes when two strangers, no matter how famous, share nothing more than a sincere "pleased to meet you."